Hey, what's up? I'm Boots Riley, the writer-director of I Love Boosters, and you're on Get Wrecked with Straw Hat Goofy.
Wake up, Juju. Time to go to work. All right, can we talk about wake up, I get it, I get it, wake up, I get it, I go with everyone saying I'm up next. It's not my fault that the vocals are gold, that making the haters so upset. My life is a movie, the way that I roll. They saying I'm goofy, but baby, you know I'm making everybody upset. Cause we the best, how we get wrecked, and I know we gonna get bread, we gonna get bread. We're gonna get bread, we're gonna get bread. We're gonna get bread, we're gonna get bread.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Juju Green, aka Straw Hat Goofy. You're a movie guy, and I got something to tell you. I love boosters. I love Boots Riley. I call them bootsters. And you should love both of them, too. Thank you so much, man, for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, bro.
Been wanting to come on here and see what you got going on. So
I feel like this is a long time coming for me and you, man, because I've been wanting you to come on as well. Like the first time we actually linked up. Craig, I think I told you this as well. It was at the it was our first time seeing Sinners, period.
Yeah,
it
was at the screening that Ryan had at IMAX.
IMAX headquarters.
At IMAX, and matter of fact, it was the first time that Raphael Sadiq had seen it, and all these folks, so felt very privileged, and
I was honored, man. I hold that memory in high regard, man, because obviously we know what Sinners eventually became, but watching that for the first time in the company of someone like you and the company of someone like Ryan, everybody was there, man. Autumn Gerard Akapal was there, and I always say this, watching.
That's also where he filmed that. That Kodak.
He did that day.
That right there.
Yeah, he did.
And we're ripping him off on doing something that, just about color. So we got our rip off.
And we could talk about that too. We're gonna get into the color of this film because I am in love. I think it's already kind of classic. Costume design. I'm already thinking the Oscar. I'm thinking way ahead Oscar season next year of costume design, makeup, and hairstyle. It's just on point when it comes to all that. But yeah, man, on that day, I say this all the time, watching Sinners for the first time and then walking out of that, I remember looking to my boy and being like, bro, I think I just witnessed a masterpiece, right? And I watch a lot of movies where a lot of times my thought process is in line with other people, but you never know. Sometimes you may love something, and then you bring it up, and as someone who puts things on the internet and say, yo, this movie's amazing, then everybody else sees it, they go, what you talking about? You crazy. I was like, man, I think I just witnessed a masterpiece. Am I crazy for that?
Yeah.
Waited a month and a half for the Y release to happen, and to see what we saw, get that same recognition, it was incredible, bro. It was incredible.
And I went on opening night and saw it with everyone too, and it actually was a different experience too, because I think if you see movies a lot, you do experience it differently than people who are maybe they see movies a lot, but they're thinking about it in a different way,
right.
And they've sacrificed more, they've made a different choice to spend that $150 with their family, and and they're going on the ride in a different way, and so it was even more explosive.
I still got people to this day hitting me up and saying I just watched Sinners for the first time, and I wish I could have saw it in the theater, and I'm just kind of I'm sure there'll be re-releases, but I was just very happy to be just a small part of being a champion for that film and talking about that. So but I'm also excited to talk about this movie. I Love Boosters, man, because it is, man, you did your big one on this one. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna blow smoke up your butt. I'm just saying.
I am very proud of it. I keep saying that it is my best work, and that and when I say that, I say it's my best work because we think about it as the writer, director, and that's part of it. But it's also part of my trick is just also picking the amazing people to work with. And but I do think I think everybody is doing their best work. I think the whole cast, and these are my friends. I'm this is this is the best thing I've seen you do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's nice when they get to tell you
know,
that too.
like, you know, and no, I'm saying this to them.
Oh, you're saying that? Oh, yeah, no, I got you. I hope they're saying it to you too.
Yeah,
then.
they are.
Like,
they are. So, you know, I think we were all just, you know, firing on all cylinders, and it was just that great combination of things that so not even just the cast, you know, our production designer Christopher Glass, our costume designer Shirley Carrata, you know, our cinematographer Natasha Breyer, and you know, so like just everybody, like, and because once that starts happening, it's like a freestyle session where you know, somebody comes hard, and then everybody's like, oh shit, I got it. You know, I got it.
Yeah. You got it's like iron sharpening iron type of situation.
You know, yeah.
I mean, you got to, man, when it's something like that. And, you know, there's movies that I watch, bro, where I'm watching them and I get that rare experience where my body and my mind surrenders to what's in front of me. Like I like there's moments in this movie that will have me like melting in my seat. Like, yeah, and you make use of like so many different techniques. We're talking like stop motion. We're talking like locked off shots that looks like almost like a storybook. Like I actually wrote this down. I wrote this down when I walked out watching it. I got to tell you, where is it at? Okay. I said that this movie is basically, where did I put it? I literally wrote this down. This movie is if Tim Burton grew up in the Bay and watched a lot of Set It Off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm speaking of like a big moment in the third act, which I won't spoil here specifically.
Yeah.
But I need to know, man, like when it comes to,
I mean,
like
miniatures, we're doing that with, and I think another aspect, and probably that is the Tim Burton connection, is Looney Tunes.
The Looney Tunes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the way those things moved, and I'm gonna be honest, probably that's, you know, before the time of some of the folks watching, you know.
No, thanks for reminding me that.
But you know, but you know, they see it on YouTube or whatever.
Right.
But you know, just the way physics works in those worlds is just funny, and it's you know, and it sparks a feeling that then allows me to work other magic visually.
Yeah. You know, I got to say this about like all your movies and even in your music too, man. Like you can feel the joy that you have when you're creating something, whether it's making music or making this movie. And I feel like that's very rare to do. I think a lot of like storytellers can be a little self-serious when they do their storytelling. When they have something to say, they say, I have something to say, let me take what I say seriously. Whereas like you have something to say, but you have no problem having joy and a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah.
So can you talk to me about just like your process of keeping that fun throughout? Because you just said it's Looney Tunes. It's funny, but like this movie still has a very hard-hitting message.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, all the people that I knew, that, you know, all the growing up, like if they were good storytellers, even if they're talking about something crazy that happened to them, something traumatic, they're talking about how ridiculous it is or how funny it is or something like that, because you know, we have to have optimism. That doesn't mean doesn't mean we ignore the trauma. It means that we know there's something we can do. We know that you know, I've only been in jail one time, and it was for like 3 days. But people are laughing up in there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like beating on tables, you know, right, and they're thinking about something that they've got a joy for the future. And so that's just always, that's the people that I'm around. And so like, I don't try to make my art different than that. And I'll even say this, you know, I started as an organizer when I was 15, and the people that I was around that taught me the most were people that could tell a good joke. You know, like they knew people. And, you know, even my father, he walks around, you know, like I have done music and I have done film, so I know a lot of people in Oakland. So I'm talking to people all the time, like, "Hey, what's up?" But my father wasn't doing music. He wasn't, had been an organizer, but but you walk down the street with him, "Hey, blah blah blah," like people are. There's an energy, and I think there's a connection. There's this connection to this to respectability politics that sometimes makes us cut that part of ourselves out, right?
Right.
Where it's like, oh, in order to be taken seriously, I can't have any joy or comedy or things like that. But seriously, by who? And where is power? Where power is within us. We create capital. We create. So we have to. The working class has to connect to each other. And that is just through humanity. And I think it's a huge part of humanity is joy, comedy. But like you said, I don't ignore, and matter of fact, my stuff might be about some of the hardest stuff in the world.
Yeah, the thing about humans, man, is like we are multitudes, right? We're not just one thing. Every emotion that we experience, there's always, like, I like to say it's almost like, the Star Wars of it all, right? There's always a little bit of dark in the light, and there's always a little bit of light in the dark. You just got to, like, if it's your choice to bring it out, right? And so, when you talk about, like, being in jail and, like, there's people laughing up in there, like, my father's been in jail, like, my entire life. But the dude, he could tell a great joke. He could tell a great story. Like, I was just with him yesterday when I was visiting my mom for Mother's Day, and we was, like, laughing because I was like, bro, you're responsible for a lot of my daddy issues when I watch Finding Nemo. Like, you're the reason why I watch Finding Nemo so damn much. And he's laughing his ass off. He's like, yeah, that's my bad, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I think that is a powerful thing, especially in the time and days that we're living in, of, like, watching these things that are, one, built for escapism, but two, like, you need to be able to find the comedy and the joy and the dark times that we're living in, because, like, what else do you have to hold on to but just negativity? And that if you just hold on to that, like, where are we going? Right? Like, it's that whole thing.
Yeah, it's about, like, how do you change things, right? And there's a certain nihilism that's in some art, like, and where nothing matters, and okay, the usefulness that can be in that, and I try to look for the usefulness in that, is like being in the moment, like this is just what it is, and I'm not thinking about the future. And maybe there's some sort of Zen thing you can get from that. Yeah. But to me, it just leads to depression and leads to just sitting back. And for me, all of that is tied to all of what I do is tied to, like, figuring that some things do matter and there is something that we can do, and kind of pushing it forward.
Listen, if you're a nihilist listening to this show right now, like, you might be happy. I don't know a lot of happy nihilists. Like, I haven't really seen them, like, walking around like happy-go-lucky. And if it is, it's very short-lived in my experience anyway. Yeah. But I got to say, man, like, with this movie, like, you do have, like, a sense of fun and joy, and I love that you have that. But something that I really liked about this movie here is, like, this movie is based off of a song you wrote, similar to, like, Sorry to Bother You. And so, like, being, like, we see artists who, like, cross over into making films a lot, but I need to know from your perspective, when you made the song I Love Boosters, was there always a thought of, I want to expand on this idea at all? Or was this just, like, your creative brain just being like, I need to express this in a different way?
So I didn't have the thought to make a movie of it, but I'll say even when I wrote songs, because I was in film school when we got a record deal, and I think I'm a junior still. Okay. And because I quit, and I always, when I wrote songs, part of my process was also imagining the video or some sort of cinematic thing to it. I don't remember that for I Love Boosters, but I know I would often imagine we're making a video for every single song, and I'd write a treatment for each thing. And it was part of me figuring out the lyrics was that. So, like, I would have all these different processes. But no, I didn't think about that. I think it was just like on my way to Sundance with Sorry to Bother You.
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna need some other concepts. And so, like how I write my lyrics often for songs is, I'll have a notebook with me and just, here's an idea. It might not even be a lyric. It might just be, black leather couch, something like that.
Yeah.
Or it might be, something, this is a corny one because it's been used in movies, but just an example.
Yeah.
Black leather couch and somebody makes a fart sound. They keep trying to make it again, right, or something. But all of and sometimes it might be an actual line of, and sometimes it might be the idea that it's a title for an album or a concept for an album or a concept for a song, and then the thing that I thought was a concept for a song ends up really just being a line and a lyric, or all these things. It's just a soup of ideas in my notebooks. And so sometimes I've looked over those notebooks so much that I have them in my head. And so I was just thinking, like, what's a world that I would want to be in, to start in? Because everything I do is me like thinking about what the world is like around the character, and then what my ideas are in relationship to that immediate world around them. How do I think that sits in the rest of the world? So it's me figuring out a character in the world that they're in, and that was just me like going through my Rolodex in my head. But yeah, and so when we sold when we sold Sorry to Bother You at Sundance, it was the talk of Sundance, and but we only sold it for exactly the amount that investors had put into it,
right? And
I had taken a lot of chances and been broke. I was squatting a house at the time, and WME was like, and I was like, damn, I guess I'm gonna have to get a job, like but I've been spending my life making music and film, so I have no skills, right?
That's the trade-off right there. It was creeping in on you, bro.
And
oh no.
And so yeah, because I was like, the whole time with making Sorry to Bother You, I was like, this is gonna be the talk of Sundance. I'd seen all these things sell for $10 million, all this stuff.
Right.
So I was like, okay, telling everyone, I'm gonna pay you back. I'm gonna do this, blah, blah, blah.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
And I had stopped touring, for some years in order to, so it wasn't like I could go back to doing that. Anyway, WME was like, well, if you got ideas, we can help you sell them. I was like, 13-foot tall black man that lives in Oakland.
Yes.
Okay, there's one. And then
that's how you do it.
And then another one was one that takes place in this world. And so, and I had actually two other ones that I can't talk about that I had that before I did I'm a Virgo, I sold all these. Okay. So, yeah.
We'll talk about it offline.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that offline. I'm excited to hear about it,
Yeah.
but I think people needed to hear that. People, they see you, and I feel like this was exacerbated by like when the writer and actor strike happened a couple years ago. Where it's like I feel like the general public don't necessarily understand what it takes to make a movie and the people involved in making those type of things. Where it's like they see, oh, you act, you must got bread. Like, oh, you're a director, like, oh, you got everything sewed up. Like, but hearing that and knowing that, like, damn, you were squatting in a house, like you have to get a regular job after not having like, the job experience to do anything. And the job market's hard, dude. Yeah. Like it is hard even if you got the experience. But it's cool to know that like you stuck with that, and like obviously like great ideas doesn't always win out, but I'm happy to see that yours did. And to talk about like the world that you've built in I Love Boosters, and I'm glad that this idea came through because I feel like this is one of the most unique worlds that I've seen in film in a long, long time. You want to talk about the monochromatic look? You want to talk? It's like it almost gave me like Running Man vibes, almost like dystopia, but it still feels close to us, right? Yeah. And I actually wrote these down as well. you put in some little Easter eggs in there that made us think like, oh, this isn't our world, but it's that close to it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some brands like that were close to JCPenney, like BK Winnie. There's Zunies, not Zunies.
Yeah.
And Rulestone. And I was like, oh my God, like this is it reminded me a lot of like the Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah.
How like it's a separate universe, but like there's like really weird like things that are the same, but it's different. Like instead of NYPD is BKNY or something like that.
Yeah.
So like talk to me about like the importance of like having those little things that separate like our world, but it's still very much something that we can connect to.
Well, it's to me, one, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to like, just get in there and tweak this thing a little bit and do that. Because another influence I think on my stuff is, I don't know if you know the children's books, Richard Scarry's Busy Town.
Oh, I've heard of those. Yeah, I haven't read them, but I've heard of them.
It'll have like this one main story, and they're all like animal characters, but then they'll have like these little things in the margin, like that are happening, and they seem like they're just a one-off little joke of the worm trying to get to work or something like that. But then as you go, it keeps being in the margins, and there's a whole nother story you could find.
Yeah.
So there's all these details in there, and so I always like that idea. But yeah, I don't know, it's just fun to do, that way. It also sometimes it's like a legal thing. They're like, oh, well, this is happening in there, so you got to do that.
That's the main reason. It's legal.
And then the other thing is that then that's also like in those particular cases, that's set deck folks like coming up with ideas like blah blah blah. How about this? How about that? This and that.
Yeah.
And so like while I'll okay it, that's something that they're like kind of given an assignment sometimes, and that people like to play on my sets, so that's something, and people will be pitching ideas all the time. So
you give them a lot of leeway to do that, and like the way people like talk about you and like working with you, like that's very, very clear. It's very evident.
Yeah, and of course, then the danger is then everybody is kind of waterfalling things, and then you have to kind of be like, no, not that, this, that sort of thing.
Right.
You
got to direct,
and but people are, because they know it's possible. Like like to me, when I try to take as much from the decades of doing music that I can, because I didn't want to. That's partially why people are like, oh, how did you just all of a sudden start doing? Well,
right.
I did start doing film, but I haven't just started making things. And so I take my processes from making music into that. So, and you're in the studio, and you do have to be like, okay, the guitar player, he's expert at guitar, but not expert at whether we should have a solo in the thing, right?
Yeah, you want that solo, but you got sometimes you got to be like, this is not the time.
Yeah, this is not. And then, but the bass player, like saying, oh, he has a better bass line than me. I have to be able to be like, okay, that's better.
You got
Let's
it.
do it. Best idea in the room wins, and that's what it is. And you attach your ego to the finished product, because that's the thing that's gonna last. Right. You're not gonna be like, yeah, that wasn't as good, but it was my thing to not do that. I don't know. Like for me, my goal is the feeling that people are gonna have.
Yes. When
they watch it. My goal is what it inspires them to do or not do. And so I'm trying to make that happen. So it's definitely a collaborative process, which makes it important to pick the right people, because you can, a little bit of shit in a milkshake is not good.
Yeah.
I actually stole that from W. Kamau Bell. As I was saying, I realized that. You know.
I love Kamau too.
Yeah.
Kamau, I love see. I'm glad we got a Kamau reference in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's so funny that you say that line. A little bit of shit in a milkshake is not very good, because we just had RZA in the studio last week.
Oh shit! Yeah. He's got the opposite reference, so that's cool. Yeah.
And so I see. I love when things are in conversation with each other in that way. And man,
I don't think I've seen RZA in person in 30 years.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to orchestrate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get you guys in here on the couch together.
We met at the Gavin Convention in New Orleans in 1994.
Damn.
So yeah, there you go.
I don't want to make you feel bad. I was 2.
Yeah. No, I don't feel bad. Had a lot of fun before you were 2.
Well, cool. Okay. Talk your shit, bro. Okay, I'm trying to get like you now. I want to tell everybody, I had a lot of fun before you was even born, bro. Like, for real. I mean, I'm sitting here talking to Boots Riley, so that's part of it. That's part of it right now. Yeah. But now I'm really happy to hear you're talking about like your music and how like a lot of your processes are like very like tied together when it comes to movies and music and creating. But I really want to know, like, what's the big differences between the music industry and the movie industry, and what are some like similarities that like what are the similarities, what are the differences, and which one surprised you the most of working in both of those industries?
It's really the same. It's real. I would have to think hard for the differences. I think you can think about some mechanical organizational things. The spirit is the same.
Yeah.
But there's like the way agents work in the whole midst of things. Like, you're not gonna have. I mean, agents for us in music they're usually like booking shows or things like that, and so there's little things like that. I think maybe in my experience, I always had smaller labels, even though we were on major things. There was like a smaller intermediary. When we first came out, we were on Wild Pitch EMI. So EMI has dissolved. But they were like a big multinational corporation.
Right.
But they were working with Wild Pitch, who was this indie label, and so we always had like full control. I never had an experience, but other people had like A&Rs being like, no, this is not the single, blah, blah, blah. You do this. How about you change this verse like that? We didn't have that. Matter of fact, we needed it a little bit more.
Okay.
Because our first album, the president of the label was like, what would be good on your album is good. You know what would be good? Choruses.
Okay.
And I was like, choruses? This ain't no commercial shit. We're trying to sell out. What are you talking about? And they were like, maybe people want to sing along, and that's the part where they get to sing along.
Right.
And I was like, fuck that. Then we were touring it around, playing our stuff at parties, seeing other people with choruses, and everybody's like, And I'm like, okay, second album, you'll hear a bunch of choruses.
Should have brought a chorus.
Then second album starts, and they were like, you know what? Your stuff is so new and so different. It's hard for us to market it, like, because it doesn't fit into this genre or that genre. It's not all the way West Coast. It's not East Coast. It's not blah, blah, blah. And we're really trying to figure out how to market it. And they said, so we got this idea, touring colleges. And we were like, colleges? What are you talking about? This is some street shit.
We don't that preppy bullshit.
Yeah. Because there had been a group a couple years before called College Boys. And no offense, we just didn't like it. Yeah. We just didn't like that, and we didn't want to, and so But of course, a few years later, that's like the anchor to the tour. Like, you get the college shows that pay this money, and then you. But again, we grew up in Oakland and we hadn't really gone outside yet, so we thought hip hop was just black folks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we didn't even know. Our first time seeing white people at our shows was we were opening up for Coolio.
Okay.
And we went up to Oregon, and there was people in like overalls, not because they were hipsters, but because they worked on a farm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we were like, are they, you know, and they had like their head shaped like the hip hop cut, but we were like, are these skinheads?
Oh, that's gotta be
you know?
a thought. Oh no.
and then we went out into the audience. They're like, "Oh, we love your shit." We're like, "Oh, damn!" And so because what was sold to us, the audience that hip hop was sold to us on TV as one way, and this was before. Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. Then it kind of opened up for us.
You see, and that's really cool because like. I use that kind of example when it comes to kind of like, you know, for what I do when like, you know, I make videos and like, you know, millions of followers, whatever. But it's hard for me to conceptualize who's watching what I'm making, right? Yeah. Until I go out, whether it's like at a convention, like at a movie premiere, whatever, and people say like, yo, I love your stuff, I fucks with it.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, these are the people who are actually watching it. So that probably was a big relief for you to be like, oh, this is who's listening to the music, so let's like kind of not cater to them, but like, you know, let's meet them where they're at.
No, and again, like I don't maybe to my detriment, I never did that. It was more just that I always and that's why we didn't get known as lyricists early on, because we were using slang that now people know, but they didn't know then. And we would be doing lyrical plays on slang. So if you don't know the slang in the first place, you don't know what I'm doing to flip that.
Already lost, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but all I could know, because my goal is, you know, to is to talk to the whole working class. Yeah. But but I know that making it as personal as possible is the only way you do that. Yeah. So I only was because the more specific you can be, the more universal it is.
And let's talk about that really quick, because I feel like that is kind of like I don't want to say like a difference, but I think that's where there's almost like a tiny divide when it comes to movie fans and music fans, because like, you know, a lot of people have like their favorite directors. They'll turn out to see anything that they do. I'm one of your fans on that respect. I know a lot of your fans as well. But when you make a movie, like, I know the goal is to like make it as universal as possible, so that way everybody can like connect to it and enjoy it. But at the end of the day, like, you're a black man, like you with a very specific experience, and you also want to make something that's also close to you. Yeah. So how much is that push and pull between like making something that's universal while also kind of like being like, this is something that I want to make?
There is no contradiction. I think when you are very specific, like for instance, when Do the Right Thing came out, I didn't know Brooklyn culture. There are things they were saying in there that we hadn't seen, like people living in these buildings that are all touching each other. Like that was
like, never saw that before.
You know, like
LA boy, I was like,
you know, and people wearing certain things, talking with certain accents. But it was clear that was their experience, and so everything else that was universal in it shined through, you know, and it was because he was very specific, and so I know that me making it as personal as possible is the way that it touches people.
See, that's really cool, because I feel like, you know, with that, you know, we can obviously apply that mode of thinking like to our country. Like, you know, obviously like not LA boy, grew up in Compton. So seeing that and Do the Right Thing in Brooklyn and anything in New York, it kind of contributed to my love of like wanting to be there and experience the people in that way. Because it's like a way we connect with each other, right? Yeah. But then you want to like take it to like a more global sense. I feel like now there's a big boom in things, you know, like Korean cinema, like, you know, like obviously like Japanese cinema and all those type of things. And, you know, shout out to like, you know, Bong Joon-ho and like, you know, The Parasite, just kind of like making a lot of people realize that these films, like no matter where they are, there is like a universal like experience that we're having here. The language is just different.
Yeah.
And I think he says something along the lines of like, when you remove something as small as subtitles, you'll understand the full world of like storytelling or film or something like that. And I just love that, you know.
Yeah.
So I really dig that you're one of the directors who does have a very clear voice in what you want to say, and people are connecting with it. So that actually means a lot to me personally.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, man.
And you know, and I would say this. I think that sort of outlook is a huge thing in my style, in the sense that, okay, the personal part is like, if you have a grounded performance by someone, and you are experiencing their emotions, and I don't mean like the grounded one where like, oh, I'm angry, so I'm doing the angry face, but I mean like where someone is actually experiencing those emotions, and you're just you got the camera there close enough so that you feel them experiencing that. At that point, I can do anything, right? That's my best special effect, because at that point, you can have the walls turn to jelly, and if their reaction is real and you can relate to it, then it doesn't matter how you make that wall turn to jelly.
Right.
Like, you are with them, right? You know, or you could have a paper cutout of an elephant bust through the wall and do it on a, you know, whatever cap cut, and you know, if the reaction is real, you're having a visceral thing to that. But on the other hand, you could have a $100 million movie that's just about a couple breaking up on, you know, and if it's false when they're like, I always loved you and blah blah blah, you're like, you're not buying it. You're like, who hired this person? Who decided this should be a movie? All these sorts of things. And so the personal, the grounding, the specific allows for so much more, and yeah, it allows me to get away with things.
I can literally talk to you all day. Luckily, we still got some more time, but I really want, Craig, can you do me a quick favor? Can you look up the poster for I Love Boosters? And we'll put this on the show for everybody watching at home. But I love this poster. It screams classic to me. But there's something very specific that I love about this poster, that when you actually kind of like brought this up, it's almost like Looney Tunes, but I'm gonna push it a step further. This poster reminds me of another iconic like group of characters, the Muppets.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was intentional, but I feel like whether it's intentional or not, this vibe that is in the poster, immediately after seeing the movie, it captures the vibe of your film, right? Like, it's surreal. The characters are vibrant. They're literally their worlds unto themselves. And then again, it has that kind of like Looney Tunes, like, you know, like wild quality to it and everything. So like, I love this poster a lot. I'm a big movie poster guy.
Yeah.
So can you talk? I don't know how much like input you've had on this poster, but talk to me a little bit about this, right?
Well, you know, this was done by an agency who pitched a lot of things. So I mean, there were like 30 things to pick from. Course, my input was picking this. But this is because by that time I'm working on other stuff.
Of course.
But so my other input to it is the the font is created by my boy J. Otto Siebold, who also did the font on Sorry to Bother You.
Yes.
And so we try to create this like something that gets across the feeling. So pick the font. The photos are taken by my boy Pete Lee, who actually plays. There's a boss character that comes into a certain part.
I think I know which part.
Yeah.
Nice.
And who actually just played because he happened to be around that day.
Nice. Just put him in costume, just like, hey, bro.
And so and the costumes that we're seeing that contribute to this is something that Shirley Carrada really our costume designer really killed it on, and this is there's a montage that happens, and I guess I could say there's a heist montage that happens, and where they're wearing various things, and I won't tell you what the theme. Each set that they come out is a certain theme, and it's not always obvious what the theme is. A couple times it's obvious, but the spirit of the Muppets, like I said, Great Muppet Caper, Looney Tunes, all that stuff, was very formative for me, and I think the reason that it was formative has to do with that hope and optimism that there is, and obviously they were also playing off certain tropes that already existed in cinema. Right. So, but it was for kids, it was a way that where you're getting those tropes in there. But yeah, the whole idea behind it is, something that I deemed important, which is also in the film, colors, excitement. It's not self-serious, although it is serious as hell. Right.
Yeah, I dig it.
And so that's the thing. And also, want to show, like, you can see these actors being these different characters, and it different than we're used to seeing them in other films.
I fucks with this so hard, man. Hey, Craig, do me a favor, right before we move on. Look up the Muppet 2011 movie poster as well. Like, I love when movies are in conversations with each other, and I love that these posters. It feels like whoever was at that agency was like, I know Boots, I know what he likes. Oh yeah, and I could see why.
That's the more recent one.
That's the more recent one.
There's other ones too where it's closer to what you're talking about.
Right, exactly.
But know what I'm talking about. The whole thing is, so when they started doing that, there were all of these like caper movies that were like star-studded, Cannonball Run, stuff like that.
Oceans, Crime 101 that just came out. Like,
but
that's the one.
Yeah, there were two. This is the one specifically.
That's the one.
And when the first series of Muppet movies came out, it was the 70s, and you had all those things where you've got all these stars in there, and they started being kind of corny. Maybe they started off being corny. I don't know, but even as a kid, you're like, oh, here's the part where the guy comes in for one scene and like hams it up and is because it became a formula.
That is an interesting thing now that you bring it up, because when I came into life and I started like watching Muppet things, like we had Muppets in Space, like I believe Treasure Island, which I think is one of the better Muppet movies if you ask me. But like Muppets in Space, I think there was one more Muppet movie that I was like, what is this? And I think that was on the tail end of like peak Muppetdom, like not Christmas Carol, not Great Muppet Caper, not the original. Like those were like bangers, right? And I feel like as an actor, you can really make your mark by like acting against a Muppet. You know what I'm saying? Like your ability to like act against the Muppet says a lot about like your talent as an actor. But then like, I think, I don't know, like I don't want to get to a full Muppet discussion because we need to talk about boosters, but I do feel like later on there was a little bit of a disinterest, not just from like a fan perspective. I think it came down from the studio of whoever was running the Muppets, and they just said like, oh, they're just the puppet people. And so that just kind of like trickled down into the performances, the productions. And so that's why they went away for a long time until you actually had like, the Muppets from 2011. Which I think was back to rare form, and it was incredible.
And it had a lot to do with the songs. I'm a huge Flight of the Conchords fan, and what's his name? Britt. You know Flight of the Conchords?
I know Flight of the Conchords. I don't know their names specifically. Both
Jermaine and Britt.
Oh, I know Jermaine Clements.
Yeah. Britt is the other guy, Brett, but that's how they say it.
Okay.
Britt. and he did the songs on those things.
Jason Segel also wrote the script to the movie as well, right? So I believe
I think you're right, but I didn't know that.
No,
yeah,
we exchange, bro.
Yeah.
It's the exchange. But okay, now I need to ask you, and then we'll move on from the Muppets thing, because I could talk about Muppets weirdly for like a good while.
Yeah.
But are you a Man or Muppet guy, or are you a Life's a Happy Song guy? This is very important to me.
Man or Muppet.
Man or Muppet.
But really, from the second movie, I'm number one.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Wait a minute. Wait, is that Most Wanted or like the actual second movie?
I think it's Most Wanted. Yeah.
Most Wanted?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. See, okay.
You're number two. Yeah.
That's underrated, by the way.
Yeah.
Like and it's so weird because Most Wanted came out and then Muppets went away again, and I was like, y'all was on a roll, but I'm a Life's the Happy Song guy. Like,
Okay.
I love Man or Muppet. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
sang it at karaoke last Thursday. but I just like the life's a happy life is like a cake with someone to give and someone to take. Life's a piece of pie with someone to stand and someone to fly. Like I love the whole. I love it all.
Yeah.
It's so optimistic. It's so crazy. And then the end where they do the little freeze frame. Okay, they're gone, and then like that was like peak.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
a great way to
man.
reintroduce the Muppets to people.
Yeah.
All right, so now we have to end this show on a question that I ask all my guests. I don't know if you're prepared for this question or not. I think you are. But I like to ask my guests, what's a movie that changed your brain chemistry and created the building blocks to who Boots Riley is?
That's hard. There's a lot of chemistry being changed all the time. It's easy for me to there's this movie, and this is very related to Sorry to Bother You.
Okay.
But I don't know if it created the building blocks to who I am, but a very influential movie. It used to come on TV when I was a kid, but I think it's just called Sssssss.
Okay. Just all S's?
Yeah.
Caps to lowercase?
Yeah, there's a couple, and it's this dude meets this girl, and she's like, let's go visit my father, who has a place in the desert. And, of course, the father is conducting experiments on snakes. Who knows what it is? And
I remember this movie.
Yeah.
I remember this movie.
And then little by little, he's turning the dude into a snake.
What?
It's a body horror
Even when
movie.
I talk about it, I'm scared right now. So that definitely had influence. There was this movie that there used to be this 24-hour kung fu theater in Oakland called the Lux.
Yeah. Okay.
And but they played other stuff sometimes. So I remember my brother took me there, and we saw Enter the Dragon, but the next movie was Laserblast.
Okay.
And it's this kid goes out, some aliens leave a weapon in the desert, and this like skateboarder kid finds this weapon that goes on his arm, and he's just like blasting shit. Like all of a sudden he's a teenager. And he's like blasting shit, but it like slowly is making him, he doesn't realize it's making him become, because these were evil aliens fighting good aliens, but the evil aliens left
so he has the evil alien cannon on his arm.
Yeah. And
okay.
But what's funny, the way that they did those movies, like they really embedded themselves in like what teenagers were supposed to be in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So I was watching as an 8-year-old kid, like, I can't wait to be a teenager, and and so it was like this movie that was like all about being a teenager, but he had the power.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
It's like you ever watch the movie Star Kid?
Yeah.
It's like Star Kid.
Where he finds out Jeff Bridges is his father from another planet or something like that?
No. So basically Star Kid is like, it's a lot like Blue Beetle. It was a lot like Blue Beetle, where like this kid, he finds this like alien like suit.
Yeah, it is the same one. I'm just putting two together.
Oh, okay, yeah. but it's like that and Chronicle. It's like if you mix like those two things together, and like I love Chronicle. Like Chronicle is like Have you seen Chronicle? Like,
maybe, I don't know.
Oh, bro. So it's the joint with Dane DeHaan and Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
And it's directed by Josh Trank. And it has like these 3 like high schoolers. Like they're all like different. One's bullied. One's a kind of like middle of the road high schooler. The other one, Michael B. Jordan, is like the popular running for school president type cat. They're at a party and they find this like hole in the ground. They go in the hole, find this crystal, and they wake up the next day and they have telekinetic powers. So now they can like move things with their mind. They can fly, like that type of thing. And it's all found footage, right? And so the bullied kid, like he develops this like almost like psychosis where he's constantly recording everything. But once he gets the powers, like the movements are now a lot more smoother because he's constantly lifting the camera and doing these things. Movie's incredible, dude. And it's like the basic question of like, if you got superpowers and you were a teenager, how would you like use those powers? So if you need a reminder, watch that. It's incredible. See.
And now to really answer your question, I'm gonna have to do a combination of 2 more things.
I got you.
One was this movie Angel.
Okay.
Terrible movie. Terrible. And it was playing at the original Parkway Theater in Oakland. But I remember realizing this thing that affects the way it was a terrible movie because the movie was about, there was a high schooler who was a cheerleader, but she really was a detective.
Okay.
And to solve a crime, she was a stripper at night.
Okay. Okay. I wasn't expecting that part, but okay.
It was terrible. The dialogue's terrible. The story's terrible. But a crowded audience at the Parkway, you go with the right audience, and everybody in the audience is funny.
Yeah.
So we made the movie fun. We made the movie funny.
Thank you for saying this.
And I remember thinking like that, like, oh, I'm just going to pick the movies based on what the audience is going to be, and we are going to, like, this is the kind of thing that I want, and it has affected the way I make movies, because, the original Parkway was like a rowdy place, and we went there, like, we would never go to movies in Berkeley because it would be boring. We were like, the crowd is going to be dead. Yeah. Right? So this was like something, and people would, throw shit or whatever, but yeah. And so then the other one was when I was in 5th grade, I had to live in Stockton, California for a couple of years. And there was on Miracle Mile, there was a theater there. And I found a way to sneak in the back door, and
I won't tell nobody.
And so I had to. You didn't have a choice of which screen you were in because that's the one you snuck in.
Right. Yeah.
And so I snuck in there. I was trying to see Beastmaster.
Okay.
and so I had to, but that wasn't there. So I had to see The Long Good Sunday.
Okay.
Which I was like, oh fuck, okay, I'm gonna sit through this and then walk. Yeah. But I sat through it enough to where I was like, what? It's just like slow moving gangster movie. Slow move. If I remember, it's like Irish gangster movie. I haven't even seen it since then, but it made me realize that I could be interested in a lot more,
right? Okay.
than I was at the time, which at the time was just comic books and maybe like Beastmasters, Conan and stuff like that. But
by the way, that's Bob Hoskins and Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, from 1980.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that one out myself then. See, so, I wish I could say I had a similar experience to that, but I didn't sneak in, and it was for a movie that most likely wasn't as good. It was Lake Placid.
I haven't seen it.
It's just a giant ass like crocodile movie. I want to say Kevin.
Oh,
Bacon's
I've seen that thing like a million times, man.
Bro. Like
it was
Placid,
just on repeat on HBO.
It's so bad because it's literally just like these people go to a lake to take out this gigantic like crocodile, and the CG on it is horrible.
And that was Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman. It was a Bill Pullman movie. And I can't even remember how I ended up in there. I remember I went to the movie to see something else, something kid-friendly, because I was maybe like around 8 or 9 or something like that. And I think I just wandered into the wrong theater maybe. And I just saw this giant-ass crocodile chomping down on this dude. And I just sat like, oh, this is way better than what I was watching. And as I got older, I was like, this movie's kind of awful. But, like, it's still a fun movie to watch. So, like, maybe I'm going to have to check that out. It's like a do-over of, like, movies that I actually like. But
and that movie was Long Good Friday, not the Long Good Friday. Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, we can't remember everything, man. We watch a lot of movies, bro. We watch a lot of stuff, and sometimes they just all blend together at some point. But Boots, I thank you, man, for coming through and just talking about your movies with me, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I'm hoping all of you out there go see this movie on May 22nd, and we really need that first weekend to be out there. Look at the trailer. I bet you see the trailer, it's going to be something you want to see. And if it is, we need it happening on the first weekend. It's going wide, 2,500 screens.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to bother you. We were on just a few hundred screens at a time and built up to 1,000 screens for 1 week and went down from there. But we had the whole summer and into the fall to do that. This, as you know, is something make it or break it. And, but either way, it's going to be fun. I want people to have that rowdy experience in there. And it's definitely one that works for that.
Listen, I loved it. A lot of people are loving it right now. And so you're hearing it, guys. The movie's good. Go see it. You've seen the previews. You've seen the photos. We showed you this dope ass poster. And just look at Boots. Look at his eyes. Look at this man. You want to see a movie made by this man. You have to. So thank you so much for listening, as always. Boots Riley, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. And remember, guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast or watching it wherever you get your podcast, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio. That's the most important one. And as always, can I be your movie guy?